Availability is good again. I think the only ones missing is Brandon, Cambridge, and Jelani Forbes. They're the ones who are coming back from both hamstring injuries. Yeah, everybody else has been training okay.
Where do you feel like Wilt's fitness level is after kind of getting him back for a full week?
Fitness levels aren't bad. And I think match sharpness, he's getting there. I'd say last week he was only 60%, I'll be honest. And I think there's a lot more to come from him. The more he trains, the more he plays, the better he'll get. He's making the sacrifice, obviously, of coming over and leaving his wife and baby to play. And he got the rewards from that as well as we did as well. And it was nice to see him, say he's doing it for his family as well.
How easy or difficult is it to take that 10-minute portion of the second half and extrapolate it to a whole game, or was that more just about the way the game was going at that point?
No, I think if you look at the game in general, and I said this after the game, there wasn't a massive big change in the dressing room at half time, because we'd watched Atlanta play their previous game. We watched a couple of their pre-season games as well, and they were a high pressing team. And it was interesting that first half they didn't press us; they sat off us. So we had a lot of possession in the back four, which we didn't advance quick enough. And it was something that we'd spoken about. If they don't go and press us, this is what we wanted to do. So we had to speak at half time about quickening up on the ball, playing at a higher tempo. When they are in our half, that's the time to turn it around as well and attack quickly.
In terms of Miami, obviously they've had a lot of success with Messi and without Messi. How are they similar? How are they different when he's in there versus when he's not?
Well, results-wise, it hasn't looked too different, has it? We're still looking up at them in the table at the moment. We want to be beating them and competing with them, whether they've got Messi or not. They've got good players. That's what they've got. He is the world's best. He scores unbelievable goals. He creates unbelievable goals. So we have to plan for him and without him, because we're not in control of that and we don't know.
Dean, going into a game against Messi for the first time with a star of your own to counter with, how does that change the equation for you guys as a franchise and maybe strategy?
We won't change too much from last season in terms of how we approached the game. We felt we could compete with them. We could, hopefully beat them. I thought we played well at home. I thought we emptied the middle a little bit too much in midfield at home last year, which gave them some opportunities. But away from home, I thought we stayed on the ball really well when we needed to, but we created some really good transitions as well. We took the lead and then, they put some pressure on late on. We've got to go with the same mindset again, that we can go and compete with them. And, the way I look at it, they're the team to beat again this season. They're the winners last year of the Supporters' Shield. They're the ones to beat. They're the champions of last year. And I know people say, well, they weren't the MLS champions. But for me, it's all about if I could pick a trophy to win, that would be the one, because I think that's the consistency that you need. The MLS trophy is big as well, but that becomes like a cup competition at the end of the season. So they're the team for me. They're the standout team that we need to beat.
Yeah, from a manager's point of view, and how a team can play so well but still not succeed, like PSG against Liverpool. How would you explain, besides not taking their chances, and there was some good fortune on some calls, but what is that, would you be satisfied with the performance like PSG had in spite of them not getting the result?
I think you're always happier as a coach. Listen, winning can gloss over many things at times. I'm not kidding myself that the 2-0 win against Atlanta is setting us straight away with a high bar, because it didn't. I didn't think our performance was great. It was okay. We defended really well again, but we still need to go and create more and better chances than we did. So I look at PSG. PSG have got to be pleased with their performance. You know, if they play 100 games like that, they probably win 98 out of them. You know, and that's really important, I think, as a team, that you've got to, the things that you can control is what you concentrate on.
And it just, I mean, it comes down to that truth of not finishing your chances, or?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the good part of us. We're not giving away many big chances. You know, we didn't play well against Seattle at all, but we didn't give up too many chances. We were okay against Atlanta. You know, I think their goal chances were all 0.2. You know, tight angles, goalkeeper should save them. And if you're not giving big chances away, then that's a good place to be in, especially when you've got a goalkeeper like we have.
And you're just 2 games in, so it's still the work in
Yeah,
progress.
it does interest me when people are talking about, you know, things that you're seeing at the moment with 2 games. You know?
Well, that was like, you could hear the crowd reaction to Wilf in the first half when Edwards was playing him tight and they were, you know, doubling him and stuff like that. It's like you could hear murmurs of like people, you know, already making an opinion on his value. That changed in the second half.
And it will change throughout the season, as people's opinions will change throughout the season on how we play, how the opposition play, how the league is going to look. You know, because things evolve as you go through the season, and you have to build up momentum and change things. And you know, we've got what we feel is a good depth squad this season. You know, we still need to add to it, and we're still looking to add to it, as I keep saying. But we've worked extremely hard so far, you know, to get 4 points, and we need to keep working that hard again.
Thanks.
You just kind of addressed the opinions 2 games in are interesting, but is there, in your eyes, a sense that this Sunday is a bit of a measuring stick for your squad, as you've just alluded to, in Miami being the standard that you wish to be measured by and compete and beat?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, so far, I think we've just been okay. We've got 4 points out of the 6, which isn't a bad start at all. But the challenge comes when you play against a team that won Supporters' Shield last season. They're the standard bearers at the moment. They got the most points out of the MLS last season. So, yeah, we've got to go and challenge ourselves against them.
But in that sense, though, is this something that, when it's all said and done, win, lose, or draw, that you'll go back and say, okay, this is what the standard did against us, and this is how we matched it? I mean, like I say, is this an opportunity, because you're going to see them again?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we have to measure ourselves off our own standards, because, you know, that's the only thing we can control. But knowing that you're coming up against a team that's done so well in the last 12 months, it's a great challenge for us, and you know, it certainly will give us a yardstick.
Does this, and last one for me, is that facing them in match day 3 a good thing, a bad thing? Would you like to have some more games under your belt before you play, or the schedule's the schedule, is anything you do?
Going down to Florida any time of year and playing on a Sunday at 4 o'clock is not ideal for an ex-redhead. You know, Saturday night will be all right, but not Sunday afternoons. So it's going to be warm there by the look of it. You know, I've looked at the forecast already. So whether that will temper the tempo of the game, I don't know. But it's something that you have to, which I've learnt over the year in the MLS, you have to factor that into your performances sometimes.
And good to get them early, or does it matter?
Sorry?
Good to get them early? In the
Yeah,
season?
maybe. But we've got to play them again, so yeah.
All right, Jorge and then Danny.
Your assessment so far of Pep Biel, it felt like in the last 2 games he's had good moments, and you know, obviously he had an injury going that kind of prevented him to have a truly full preseason. Just your thoughts on him so far?
Yeah, he's had good moments. Exactly that. I think Wolf had good moments last week as well. I don't think they're anywhere near their best at the moment, and I've spoke to both of them about that. But again, we're 2 games in. One's had a hampered pre-season. The other one's, you know, joined during pre-season and then had to go back to the UK. So, you know, there are reasons for that. But what we do know is that they're top quality players, and they're going to contribute a lot for us this season.
And then you mentioned after Seattle, you pretty upset with just the fundamentals of what the team tried to do there. Is that something that you've spoken again now that it's another away game against a really tough opponent?
Yeah, I mean, listen, not much went right on that journey to Seattle and the journey back, in all honesty. And then we had the 90 minutes that I didn't really like either. So, you know, just a bad weekend that, I didn't enjoy. But, yeah, I keep saying you've got to earn points on the road, if you want to be a successful team. Miami's, hour and a half flight, 2-hour flight. It's not too far to go. So, we've got no excuses. The weather's going to be the same for both. It's 11v11, and you've got to play well. So, they know that their total sprint distance and high-speed running wasn't good enough in Seattle, and I thought it was a lot better against Atlanta, and I got the data that proved that as well.
And then Brent Monaco had a child score goals. Wilfred Zaha had a child score goals. Is the key to scoring goals having children?
Well, maybe because there's another couple that are due soon as well, so so maybe we can have some more, but no, let's hope so.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anna?
I wanted to ask you about, Ajman. And a lot of people have talked about expectations for him. I mean, he's 24 years old. He's had recent success with the U.S. and obviously with your club. How do you handle a player like that when it comes to his potential? Like, how do you want to see his progression, and what are maybe your goals or expectations for him growing specifically in 25?
Yeah, well, I've spoken about Patrick a lot, and I still class him as a young player, even though he's 24. Yeah, he's 24, but he's new to the league in terms of it's only his second full season. I know he got some minutes in the season before that as well. People his age normally in European football have probably played 150 games. He's played 50. So he's still learning the game. He's still learning how to play against people, and our job as coaches is to improve him. To help him improve. I sit down with him and go through his game with him, and he come and ask me any questions he wants. I thought he worked extremely hard on Saturday without much reward. I think at times he took players away. I mean, you look at the second goal, I think it was, and he took the defender away. I think it might be the first goal after with Pep. No, it was the second goal. That's right. Yeah, second goal, and he's ran across and took the player away from Wilf, and that's the sort of things that he can improve on. He can improve on when he receives the ball, how he uses his body to shield it from the defender, how to set and go. But they're all things that we're working with him. And the great thing about Patrick is he's coachable and he wants to get better. And that's the beauty of having him.
Yeah, and then you had Bronico in there with Westwood and BL in the Atlanta match, and then obviously Williamson in the Seattle match. What did you like about the combination of Bronico and Westwood and BL?
I like the fact that they protected the space in front of our two centre-backs, because that's the area where, last week Almiron wanted to receive balls inside there and play. This week Suarez at times drops off the line. Messi plays in between them lines. I thought they protected that really well because, when the ball's arriving to a player in there, normally your centre half gets dragged out and it leaves a space then for somebody to run into. When you've got two players patrolling it as well as they did last week, it certainly helps your defensive structure.
Yeah, last one for me is Miami is playing 6 games in 19 days. How much do you guys think about maybe their overloads on certain players and maybe how you can attack them because of it?
Again, I don't worry about them because I don't know what they are or what they're capable of. I don't know all their data from training. I mean, we don't know if Messi's going to be involved or not. He's just missed the last 2 games. How much does it take out of Busquets, Alba, Suarez? We just don't know. When we get that team sheet come through on Sunday, then we know what we're coming up against, and then we will have our game plan, but we'll also have a plan B, C, and D. In terms of if we need that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Danny?
Hey, Dean, you mentioned that there was no change in tactics in the second half versus Atlanta, but there did seem to be a change in mentality. Will Zaha mentioned that he had a go at a few guys, and he had the laugh line of constructive criticism but shouting it. if we could have been a fly on the wall in that locker room, what was Wilf saying to the guys?
I don't know because I wasn't in there. I mean, and I've said this before, so straight away at half-time I go into the coach's room and, I'll have some clips that I've asked to be cut for the analysts to show me straight away. So then I've got a constructive chat to have with the players when I go in there. I leave the players for the first 3 or 4 minutes to themselves. Go and discuss what you need to discuss, because they're the ones out there. And I've said this many times before, coaches don't win games, players win games. Coaches can lose games, by picking the wrong team or picking the wrong players, but players win games. So, my idea is then go in, talk to the players, ask them what they're feeling, what they're seeing, and then I've got my clips ready to show them on how we can improve. And as I said earlier, for me to improve, it was moving the ball quicker, getting it to our wide players quicker. We lost our structure at times in terms of our build and create. Pep kept coming onto the right-hand side, and we had that. He kept Pep and Leal in the first half got in each other's way too much. So we had to clear that space, and I thought we'd done that second half quite well.
So you mentioned move the ball quicker, and that was pretty much the gist of Wilfred's message, according to him, to the teammates. What's it like to have a player give a message to the teammates? Do they receive it differently than if it comes from a coach?
No, I think players always, once you get in that dressing room at half-time, then, I've been there as a player, as a captain. You voice your displeasure. If it is displeasure, you voice whether you're doing well or not and what's going well. So it's good that we've got another leader come into the group like Wilf who can actually go and express his opinion. Callie will do it, Ashley Westwood does it, Nathan Byrne does it, Malanda does it. So, we've got players and leaders, and I think Wilf, with the stature that he's got, his voice will be heard. So it's great to know that he's going in that dressing room at half-time or after the game and making his opinion heard.
There was a sequence I noticed in the first half, and we saw a lot of this, where it's Tim Ream passes to Ashley Westwood, Westwood passes it to Wilf advances the ball, and it's just like, that's 3 former Premier League players. What's it like to have so much more class and pedigree in the squad than we've ever had here in Charlotte?
I think when you're building something, and we're still building a club, it's 4 years old, you want to add on to it and make sure that you're getting better quality than what you've had before. And I think that's what we've been doing. Ashley Westwood come a couple of years ago, then Tim came last year, now we've got Wilfred Zaha as well. Pep Biel came last year as well. So we're looking to add quality to the team all the time, and that's not going to finish. We've still got a succession plan. So what may the squad look like this time next year? What's it going to look like in the summer? What will it look like the year after that? That's the succession planning that you have to keep building a successful squad who's going to compete week in, week out, and year in, year out at the upper levels of this league.
And then, whenever I'm talking to people about the club and watching matches, I always say good things happen when Kalina kicks it deep. And we saw that on the second goal. Deep ball bounces over the defender's head. Liel's able to get around him and go. Do you like Kalina playing the long balls like that? I know it's kind of popular for guys to play with their feet more, but what's your status on that?
Yeah, I don't think they came from Kalina. I thought the one was from Nathan Byrne.
One came from Privet, and I think one came from Kalina.
No, it was Nathan Byrne. One from Nathan Byrne and one from
Okay.
Privet. Yeah, but Kalina can do that as well. And I've said before, if teams are pressing you, or if they're in transition themselves, they're going to be open. So play over the press. It's foolish and folly to play into it where they might win it and create a chance. And that's what I want. I want them to keep being good decision makers. And there's a time to play through them. There's a time to play round, and there's a time to play over. There's no other way to get through. I know of anyway. And that's what we keep coaching the players to make good decisions.
All right, we'll go to Carol on Zoom.
Hey Dean, how are you?
I'm not happy you're not here, Carol. You're always here, and I'm having to face you on Zoom.
I'm blaming school teacher conferences today.
All right, okay.
I apologize.
Nah, no worries. You okay?
I'm good. Everybody's asking good questions, so I don't have much. But just to follow up on Ajuman, our defense is playing him a little different these first 2 games than what you saw maybe at times last year?
I think they're more aware of him now. I'd like to see a little bit more protection, and I said that last season. I mean, there was a rule in this. The fourth official told me Bram Bronico received a yellow card on Saturday, and I asked the fourth official. I thought it was a soft yellow, and he actually got a yellow card for targeting. That's what the yellow card was. It wasn't for the actual foul. It was because it was the 5th foul against Almiron. And I'd not heard of that before. So I'm like, so if I send a sub onto the pitch and his first foul is against Almiron, he's going to get a yellow card. And he went, yeah. So straight away I pulled over Wilf and said, right, you've been fouled 4 times. Next one who fouls you, tell the referee, remind him it's a yellow card. So I'm going to bear that in mind also with Patrick, you know, because he's certainly one who gets fouled a lot as well. So, you know, I'm expecting, you know, consistency of that law that I wasn't quite aware of.
Yeah, that's a new one. Well, it does seem like last year Patrick was getting the ball in space, you know, playing over to him, and it was coming a little bit easier. Maybe that's not coming as easy right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the 2 games so far, I mean, Atlanta didn't give up too much space in behind them at all in the first half because, as I say, they sat off us. So there wasn't an awful lot of room for Patrick to run into in the first half. You know, second half, I thought he made some decent runs. He ran Gregerson down the side a couple of times. We won the ball back in the corner. He's made the run for the second goal as well. So, you know, he knows where he wants to go, and that's where the space is for him. You know, but sometimes opposition tactics, you know, might deter that as well.
I see, Jamie, you know, in the Crown Legacy starts tonight. Are you going to go see him? And what do you think of his kind of hybrid player coach thing he's doing?
Yeah, he's passed his first badge with the US Soccer Federation, so he's happy that he's on the coaching road at the moment. Yeah, and that the family will all be there supporting the legacy tonight.
You see him as a coach? I mean, do you think that's something he's got a gift for?
Yeah, that's what he's working towards now. You know, obviously joining the legacy for him, he's really good. He still wants to play, but he also wants to help the younger lads develop. And with his experience, what he's had so far, playing pro football and following me, he can certainly help them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go last to Steve and then Mike.
So Jamie's got a C license now?
He has, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was what I wanted to ask. How many from the first team might we see with Legacy tonight, since we're all going to be there?
Good question. Not too many, I don't think. I think Micah Thomas will be there because he needs to get some games. Other than that, no, I'm not too sure.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because who's going to travel and who do you want to get minutes, you know, with here?
Yeah, no, there's not too many. Most of them will travel with me, the first team squad.
Okay, yeah, targeting thing, but I mean, would you say Patrick's developing into like a classic target man? You know, where he plays with his back to the goal and can receive the ball. He's sealing guys off pretty well.
He does. I don't think that's his biggest strength. That's not his superpower. For me, his superpower is running behind. You know,
with his size, he can.
Yeah, he can, but I think what's really good for him, you know, because of his long levers, he looks probably a little ungainly on the eye at times, but he's got unbelievable feet. So once he gets in the penalty box and he stands somebody up, he can actually beat somebody quite easily because his feet are really good and really quick.
Just the way he's beat people on the end line, you know, where
Yeah.
no space and he's gotten around them.
I think, what was the game? Was it New England last year when he skipped round a few and just set it back for Pep Biel? You know, that's the type of things he does regularly in training. Yeah.
Thanks.
Dean, you were talking earlier about guys being willing to step up and talk, the leadership group. Do you have a designated group of guys that are like the liaison between the rest of the guys and you? And is that a structure you employ, or is that just kind of everybody has a voice, or do you have a couple of guys?
Yeah, no, we've got a leadership group at the club. Obviously, Ashley Westwood being the captain is in there. You know, after the half time last week, I think we've got a rocket man in there as well with Wilf Zaha giving the lads a little bit. So I'm sure it won't be too long before he's in the leadership group as well.
Is there a vice captain?
No, I haven't named a
Because
vice
with
captain.
the legacy, Jack Neely is.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, we got Ashley Westwood, Kalina is in the group, Malanda's in the group, Brant Bronico is in the group, and Privs is a young player.
Yeah, because you don't need a title to be a leader.
No, not at all. And there's always different leaders as well. I mean, I've said that before. Leaders by example, leaders by demanding more of people. Different ways of leading. So we've got that within the group as well.
Is that a conscious thing though for you to have guys that you lead on?
Yeah, definitely. But their job is always, I want the leaders to create more leaders, not followers. If you get followers, then for me, the whole leadership group collapses. The leaders are there to create more leaders.
Will, last one.
I'm guessing that Rocket Man fun was intended, given where Wilf came from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And to that end, whether you know this or not, you have no frame of reference, but your presence brought a lot of increased worldwide attention in the club. Obviously, Zaha is part of that as well. So did his game over the weekend maybe cause an interaction with somebody who you either hadn't heard from in a while, just because it was Zaha playing with you, or something that was maybe out of the ordinary?
I think a few of my mates have texted me about the crowning of Wilf after the game. I've had a lot of friends who've come over here from the UK, and they absolutely love the experience of the match day. And I think it's changed a lot of people's opinions on the MLS since they've been coming over and seeing. And I think a big thing for us is, we're a little bit disappointed. We've got 51,000 fans there. There's only 4 clubs, I think. I think there's only four clubs in the Premier League, or 5, who can get over 50,000 fans in a stadium. So I think this city is only going to grow in terms of soccer. And bringing in people like Wilf and giving people the experience we give them on a match day is only going to help us grow.
And it helps you get players too, I bet.
Yeah, definitely, because people want to play in front of big crowds. It gives people adrenaline, it gives them a buzz, and I told you straight away from that first night against New York, how different it was, but how good it felt as well. And Wilf's just experienced that on a nice sunny day as well.